So we're going to take this, and the direction said to use a calculator to make a table and then sketch the graph. So I'm going to take my calculator and turn it on here. Go to y equals. Let me get this paper out from behind it. And I'm going to go to y equals, and I'm going to clear that off. Oops, second, good. Equals. I'm going to clear both these off. I'm going to type in 2, and above the division symbol, I hit the caret button. I'm going to type in there x plus 1. And then I'm going to move to the right to get it out, arrow to the right to get out of the exponent, and put a plus 3 in there, and then I'm going to hit graph. Oops, I got my window crazy. So I'm going to go back to the normal negative 10 to 10 graph. And here comes my graph somewhere. I'm going to shut that off a second. I don't know why it's not graphing faster. Okay, there's my graph. All right, graph. Oh, there we go. I don't know why I wasn't graphing a second ago, but there goes my graph. So zoom in a little better on that. A little too close. Okay, so there's my graph. So if you notice, normally the x-axis is a horizontal asymptote, but since we had that plus 3, now there's a horizontal asymptote at x equals 3. Even though it looks like it's probably touching 3 out here, if I hit trace and go this way to the left just to show you, all of these values will be above 3. It never gets to 3. So you could go left forever and it's never going to get to 3. So to find your table of graphs, we're going to hit the second graph button. And there's my values. Now I'm going to go back and change my table set to start at, let's start at -3. So we're going to start at -3. We're changing by 1, so the next one will be -2 and so forth. So I'm going to go back to my table now. So there's an ordered pair, -3 and 3.25, -2 and 3.5, -1 and 4, 0, 5, and so forth. So I'm going to take those points, and I'm going to go and graph this thing. I'm going to go back to my graph. Excuse me. All right, so I'm turning my calculator around so I can see them. So my table that I just showed you from the calculator, I'm going to do nice, pretty numbers. -1, 4 was a point. 0, 5 was a point. I'm going to go ahead and put -3 and 3.25 was a point. Kind of wish I'd have put those a little differently. And I'm going to go one more point. I'm going to put 1/7 as a point. So then you're going to sketch that. You come over here. 1, 2, 3. Now, just so you know, there is an asymptote, a horizontal asymptote going right here. I am not allowed to touch that. And 0 gives me a point up here at 5. So 0, 5. I'm going to stick a 5 right there. And -1, 4 was a point. So I'm going to say that's -1 and go to 4 and put a dot. And then -3 was 3.25, which is in here somewhere. And at 1, I'm at 7, so I'm up here a couple more steps. So this graph is going to go like that. Okay, so the next problem we want to see was number 5. Number 5 from the test. So I'm going to take a picture of number 5 on the test. Okay, so get my camera back up. Make this bigger. Maybe. There we go. Oh no, good. There it comes. All right, I'll make it bigger. I actually thought I X'd it out. Okay, so make this smaller. Okay, so we want to do number 5 on the test. This thing tells me that one of my zeros is too odd. I gotta move this over to the other thing, take a picture of it. So I'm going to move it over here. So, move this away. All right, so you're going to take your coefficients, and they go, well, let's put our number we're dividing by first. The 0 is 2i. Now I'm going to take these coefficients and put them down. So in front of the x fourth, I have a 1. In front of the x cubed, there is no x cubed, so I have to put a 0. In front of the x squared, there's a negative 21. In front of the x, there's a 0. In front of negative 1, or the constant's negative 100, and I already know that this must give me a 0 right there. I've got to have a 0. So if I don't get 0 here, I've screwed up over here somewhere. So the rule is you take your number on the top and you move it down underneath, and then we take the number in the box, multiply it times the number underneath, and put it under the next number. So 2i times 1 is 2i, and then I get 0 plus 2i is 2i. Then 2i times 2i is 4i squared, which that I squared is negative 1. So negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. So I add those two together and I get negative 25. Then I take 2i times negative 25 is negative 50i. I add 0 and that together and get negative 50i. And 2 times negative 50 is negative 100. And the I times the I is I squared again, but that's negative 1. So negative 1 times negative 100 is 100, and I hope you see that that does give me 0. Now, something I told you in class was about how imaginary zeros are just like going on a double date. If one girl goes, both girls go to the restroom. So if 2i is a root, and remember, a plus bi is the form, and the conjugate is also a root, a minus bi. So in this case, this is 0 plus 2i, so 0 minus 2i is also a root. So I can come here with what's left over and stick the other imaginary root, negative 2i, in here, and do synthetic division again. And now under here, I'm going to get a 0. I should end up getting a positive 50i here, or I screwed up. So again, I'll bring the 1 down. Negative 2i times 1 is negative 2i. I add these together and I get a 0. Negative 2i times 0 is 0, and I add these two together and I get negative 25. Negative 2i times negative 25 is positive 50i, and as you can see, I get a 0. So here's two of my zeros right here. Now, it says the other zeros, but I usually would write the one they gave me anyway. And then this is what's left. So I have x squared minus 25 is left, because there's 0 x's. Now, this is a difference of squares, so this is x plus 5 times x minus 5 when you factor a difference of two squares, and you get x plus 5 equals 0, and x minus 5 equals 0, so we get x equals 5 here. We get x equals negative 5 here, so the other zeros are positive negative 5. So those are the 4 zeros. Now, you did not have to put the one they gave you 2i, but you did have to have the other 3 there. Does anybody have any other questions you'd like to see off the homework or anything else? Okay, there's only 4 of us here, so if you're good, I want you to chat me that you're good, and if all 4 of you say you're fine, we're going to call it a day. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, got 1 more. Adriana, you there? Okay, I guess she is not there because I'm not hearing from her. No question and no answer, so I guess I'm going to call it a day. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Stay out of trouble, do what's right, not what's popular, and I will see you guys on Monday. Have a good one.